Hello everybody and welcome to today's meshStack demo. Please in the chat give me a quick heads up whether audio and video is working. It'll probably take a while. I started talking right away. It'll take a while. Yeah, I can see myself. Okay. Great. Then, I'm Wolf. I'm marketing manager at meshCloud. And in the next 30 minutes or so, I'll take you through our cloud foundation platform, meshStack, and show you some of the most important aspects, how it can help you to operate and scale the cloud in your organization. If you have any questions during the demo, just enter them in the chat and I will answer them, and yeah, you can ask anytime. So let's start with a quick introduction where meshStack lives in your organization, basically, and what it does for whom. If you look in the top right and top left corner, you see two teams. In the top left corner, it's the Cloud Foundation team, or Central Cloud team, Cloud Center of Excellence. And the top right corner, the team is a representation of all the application teams in an organization. So a Cloud Foundation team uses meshCloud as the technical foundation of their cloud operations, the cloud management, and they can do tenant management. We'll get to all of these points in our demo. They can do tenant management, identity access management, security, cost management, and manage the service ecosystem within meshCloud. And the reason why they can do it is because meshCloud integrates with your internal identity provider, with the cloud platforms and other platforms. We'll get to that, and with infrastructure services or related services as well. So the Cloud Foundation team uses meshStack to manage the cloud in the organization and provide it to their internal customers, the application teams. The application teams use meshStack to book the cloud resources they need, and they don't access the cloud or their resources through meshStack. They access it natively, so they can use all the services that are provided by the different providers like AWS or Azure or GCP. So the Cloud Foundation team offers the cloud securely pre-configured over meshStack, and the application teams consume the cloud and yeah, are free to use it within the guardrails set in place by the Cloud Foundation team. Then, if there are no questions, I'll have a real quick look in the chat. If there are no questions, we'll head over to the product, to meshStack, to actually have a look at what it looks like in action. We're greeted by the organizational dashboard screen in the meshStack admin area. The admin area is the domain of the Cloud Foundation team. So the Cloud Foundation team basically lives in the admin area and does all of the stuff that I alluded to in this little graphic before in the admin area. So we need to go through a few terms, or the terminology we use in meshStack, and explain a little bit how all these integrations are represented in meshStack. So let's head over to the Cloud Universe tab here. It's a beta feature, but it serves us very well to explain how the hierarchies work and how the integrations work in meshStack, the representations, and also, of course, we can use it. It's actually pretty fun already. So you can see here at the core, we have workspaces, projects, and tenants. This is actually the correct order of the hierarchy that it's implemented in meshStack. So the workspaces are the top level spaces, and it's best practice to use them as representations of an application. So if you're a bank and you have a mobile banking app, you would have a workspace mobile banking app. And in this workspace, you can then invite and assign the users according to their roles. Within the workspace live the projects. And the projects, we recommend to basically mirror the stages. So if you have a development stage, a Q&A stage, and a production stage of your mobile banking app, these would be 3 different projects within the workspace of the mobile banking app. It's convenient and necessary to do it like that, because you can, of course, assign developers to different projects within the app. So a developer who works on the dev stage can not have the rights to work in the production stage, for example. And of course, when it comes to the guardrails that I mentioned, that we'll come to later, of course, like a experimental stage, a sandbox stage for experiments, gives the developers way more freedom than a production stage of this mobile banking app. So that's the hierarchy here. The projects, the different stages, live in the workspace, the app. And within the projects, like what the projects actually build on, live the tenants. And the tenants, for now, we'll get a little bit into detail also later. You can think of them as the cloud platforms and other platforms you can add there. So I said we can not only use this cloud universe for a little explanation of the hierarchy and terminology, we can also do something with it. And I know we have a developer called Daniela, and if we put her name in the search bar here, we see she's highlighted in the user bubble. We can click on her, and now we can see how she is basically connected to workspaces, projects, tenants. So here she's in the Liquid mobile app. That's the workspace she's assigned to. And in that app, she's assigned to the project production. That's probably the production stage of that app. And you can see within this project, there is, for example, an Azure subscription as one tenant on which this production stage is built on. We can also, like a little exploratory, basically, to look around your cloud environment in your cloud landscape in your organization. You can also just click on this project to see all the other people who are assigned to this project. Or you can click on this workspace, the Liquid mobile app, to see what other projects live within that. For example, an AI sandbox or GCP analytics. So this cloud universe is basically a way to explore your cloud landscape in your organization a little bit and understand connections. Now that we've talked about workspaces, projects, and tenants, let's look into more detail. And if we head over to the left side of the screen, we can click on workspaces, and we have a whole list of all the workspaces in our organization here. You can see, of course, the name, then tags. I'll explain what the tags are good for later, what they actually enable you to do, from security to cost management. For example, we have a workspace that's called EA Workshop. And we actually created that workspace for one of our workshops we offer, the EA Workshop, where we offer guidance to enterprise architects that are just starting out offering cloud in their organization. And you can see the confidentiality tag is public because we use it in a public workshop. We can head to our to the Liquid mobile app here we saw earlier in the cloud universe. And with the little icons here, you can see all the projects within the workspace. For example, the AI sandbox or the production project, the payment methods, the users and groups that are assigned to this workspace. You can send message to users if there is anything that needs to be clarified. see whether there are access requests, have a look at the tags, a look at the whole history of the workspace, and so on. So we can have a quick look at all the projects that are in this workspace. You can see them here, the production project. Project owner is Anna Admin, for example, and the payment method, basically the budget or cost center, is what we call here big budget, 100,000 euros. And you can see all the platforms that live in this production project in the Liquid mobile app workspace. On the left, there is another tab called Projects, where you can have a look at all the projects in your organization. And so it's a little bit the other way around now. We look at all the projects and can see what workspace they're in, and also have a closer look at detailed information for the projects. So we can search for the Liquid mobile app here, and now here we have all the projects that we saw before that are in the Liquid mobile app. Payment method, their status, their tags, everything you can see here. So, are there any questions so far? If not, let's head over to the tenants. That's what I said. You can think of as the cloud platforms. So under platforms, we have tenants here. There's Azure tenants, GCP tenants, AWS tenants, OpenStack. This is all tenants that are active or have been booked for projects over meshStack. So you can see their status here, the replication. We'll get to the replication part. But real quick, it's basically the application teams book their tenants for their project, and like with the configuration, these tenants get replicated into the actual cloud platform. So if you book an Azure tenant and you configure it with the landing zone, with the tags and everything, users, it gets replicated into Azure, so the developers, after setting it up, can natively access their tenant on Azure. I think it's necessary to clarify the relationship between tenants and platforms here, because this also, it says platform here. So we have the platform tab here. These are all the platforms that the central cloud team provides to their application teams. And they can book these platforms, and once they book it, configure it, it becomes a tenant in their project that gets replicated to the cloud. So this is basically the catalog of platforms that is offered by a central cloud team, cloud foundation team here. And these tenants are all the like actual Azure subscriptions, AWS accounts, or Google Cloud projects that live in some project. Here in the Liquid mobile workspace, for example, on the data science workbench, that's the project, is this AWS tenant with a certain landing zone and all this information that you can see here. So we've talked about cloud platforms now, but what you can also see here, when we look at the platforms, you can see GitHub. GitHub is not a cloud platform, but it's a platform in meshStack, because you, as like part of the Cloud Foundation team, you can add also non-cloud platforms as platforms to meshStack. For example, GitHub or Datadog here, and make it bookable for projects of your application teams. So now that we've talked about how platforms relate to tenants, and that tenants get booked and replicated into the cloud, let's have a look at like what actually gets replicated. And a big part of that is the configuration that the landing zones provide. So like under platforms here on the left is also landing zones. Let's have a quick look at landing zones. This is a list of all the landing zones that are also provided to the application teams in your organization. This is all like set up by the Cloud Foundation team and configured by the Cloud Foundation team. And for each use case, there can be a landing zone that is tailored to the use case. Like I said, a sandbox project that doesn't need that many restrictions, whereas a production stage, of course, needs a lot of guardrails and really like narrow down the corridor for the developers, so it runs smoothly and is secure and compliant. And these landing zones are every project needs to have a landing zone, and every tenant. So you can see these tags here. We'll like see them again later, and these tags basically define what these landing zones are good for and allowed for via the policies. But let's stay here at the landing zones for a little bit, because if you, once you've selected your landing zone, that's basically the configuration base plate of your project. So of your tenant, you can also build. We call it building blocks because you build them on top, like Legos, on your landing zone base plate. And you can see here in this list there are all the building blocks that are actually part of some workspace and project. And here you can see the building block definitions. That is, building block definitions relate to building blocks like platforms relate to tenants. So the building blocks definition is the catalog that is offered, you can choose from. And once you chose a definition, it actually becomes a building block in your project. So we can have a look here at the building block definitions. For example, on-premise connectivity here is offered for Azure. You can see you can like manually implement it or via Terraform. So the on-premise connectivity v7 is a Terraform building block. Let's click on it. It has a name. It's enabled that it's for use in a landing zone only. And on the implementation tab, you can see that this building block, like this on-premise connectivity, is maintained on GitHub. So it's not maintained on a meshStack or anything. It's maintained where you probably maintain infrastructure services, whether it's GitHub or any other service like that. You can integrate it here into meshStack, keep maintaining it on GitHub, for example, and it's offered here for integration in projects. There are, for this building block, there are inputs defined that the developer needs to put in once he's booking it. He's booking the service. And this service here, the on-premise connectivity, also has a pricing attached. So this one has a recurring fee of 15 euros monthly. And the whole cost management thing, we're getting to that later. But here you can see you can really charge the teams that are using a certain service in your company, in your organization. All right, so now we have landing zones that are the base plate, depending on the use case. The building blocks that are offered and provided, you can charge for. You can host them in some repository and maintain them there, but they're integrated as part of the meshStack service ecosystem. But how do we make sure that the right landing zones, basically, and right building blocks and everything are used for the project, and that it is really enforced? Because that's a security issue for sure, and a compliance issue. And for that, we have integrated the policies. And in the policies, you can see here we have mapped project tags to landing zone tags, workspace tags to project tags, and project tags to landing zone families in this case. The landing zone clearance to the landing zone family, and that these policies make sure that once a developer wants to select a landing zone, only the landing zones that fit the intended use case can be selected and can be activated. All right. Any questions so far in the chat? I can't see any. Then let's talk about the tags here a little bit more. These are this is the screen where you can actually define the tagging, basically implement your metadata strategy, your metadata template that you made for your organization. So there's a consistent set of tags available for projects, landing zones, and workspaces. All right. If there are no questions, then I'd suggest we now make the mental switch to the application team's view of meshStack, what they use it for. We've now seen the admin area that is used by the Cloud Foundation team. They live there, they use it to manage and organize and operate the cloud landscape in an organization. But like you saw in the introductory visual, also the application teams use meshStack. So we will switch the perspective now. And here at the top left, I can select a workspace. Remember the workspace is often mapped to an app. So I select the Liquid mobile app. We've seen that before in the lists here. And now you can see the perspective of a workspace manager in an application team on meshStack. So that this screen is, or that this, these work spaces are offered to the application teams will make your life so much easier, because they can do like all the tasks that otherwise would really be up to you in self-service, while you still have the control over what they can actually do with that. So you pre-configure and they can consume it. It will take away like tons of service requests and manual configuration that you'll have to do over and over again to provision these resources to the application teams. This can be done through meshStack. So let's see. We're a developer here and we're in the Liquid mobile app workspace. Application teams can create a new project here in this workspace that remember represents staging, for example, of an application. And let me show how that works. Actually, just create a project and let's choose a project name. This is the April demo project. Project owner, and here this is the tags. We've seen these tags on the projects before. So this is the tags that we can now select. Remember the tag screen from the admin area where you, as a Cloud Foundation team, provided the possible tags. You can choose them here. So the environment is a development environment. The business unit is production. The allowed landing zone families, cloud native, and confidentiality, since we use it here in a demo, is public. So we click next, And now we have to select a payment method. We've seen the payment methods also before in the admin screen. This is the cost center, credit card, whatever you used to pay for this big budget one we saw. And we're allowed to take it, so we'll take it, the 100,000 euro one. Click next. Now we can select a platform and configure our tenant in our project. So we'll select an Azure subscription that we need in our project. Click next. And now we need to select a landing zone. And here you can see there are 3 landing zones, but I can only choose between 2 because the other one is permitted by a policy. So as a developer, I still have the choice, but for my use case, there are only 2 options here. So we will choose the cloud native one. Yeah. Next. Here we will invite the users to our project. Of course, we need developers to work here on this project. I'll add myself, and you might remember her, Daniela. She'll also be on this project. Here are the roles that can be assigned to these users. I'll be the project admin. Daniela will be a project user, and these roles are also replicated in the cloud and correspond with the roles on the actual platform. So you can, with the permissions and rights, you can really configure these roles that you see here to your liking. All right, we added the users. Next. So now we've been guided through the project creation pretty quickly. Remember, I don't know how it works in your organization, but this whole process in a lot of organizations actually is a back and forth of emails or tickets or forms to fill. And here it really guides the developer, the application team through the creation process and offers all the text, landing zones, platforms that have been pre-configured by the Cloud Foundation team. So nothing can go wrong here. So I won't click create project now because it will take a while to replicate it in the cloud. There will be like an actual Azure subscription created in Azure if I click create project now. But we can go to a project that is actually already there and have a look at it there. So let's go back to our workspace. Here are all the projects. They have all been created the same way. I've demoed right now. So let's have a look at the develop project here. You can see here the tags, the platforms. If we click on it, we can have a better look at what's actually in there. And here you can see replication successful. That means the whole configuration has been replicated into the cloud, and the last time this replication ran was 1 hour ago. So it will always keep it at the configured status with a repeated replication. Here we can also have a look at project access, financials, settings, deletions. Here's the danger zone. You can delete it. Remember, I'm here as a workspace manager, so I can see everything in this workspace. Other users might only see their project. All right. One thing, of course, that's the most important. If I click here, I can actually directly sign into the Azure portal from here and then use Azure natively. meshStack is only used for booking and managing the project, basically. The real work happens natively on the platforms. All right, now I gave you a tour of the area for the application teams. Then let's head back to the admin area and see how the cost management works there, because now the application team has created a project and so on, it's running, they're working on it, but cost management is pretty important to handle to not break the bank, basically. So let's go back to the admin area. And here we're all greeted again by the dashboard. You can see cost this month here. But you can also click on this financial tab up here, and here you get a good overview over how the costs have been developing, what there were for what project or what platform, what payment method issues there are, projects without payment issues, but without payment method. We'll have a look at the payment methods. That's the cost centers, budgets, credit cards. You can think of, we'll talk about that later. So let's have a look here. We can see the develop project in the Liquid mobile workspace is actually the top project in terms of cost here. You can see it has marketplace cost, Azure, GCP, and custom costs of 120 euros. So if we want to have a look at that closer, we'll head over to our FinOps tab on the left and have a look at the chargeback statements. Remember, it was the develop project. We'll just search for that here. And here you can see Workspace Liquid Mobile. That's correct. The develop project, that's the one we actually saw in the workspace view for the application team, and also in the financials tabs on the dashboard right now. So here you have all the chargeback statements for all the different periods. Here's the grand total for each period. We can have a look at the last one from March 6th to April 6th, so just 4 days ago. We can open the details here, and we can see what the costs look like, the usage reports, what we spend here, or what the application team actually spent on what. So for example, a static IP charge in Finland for compute engine, 752 euros here. I don't know how you do it. If you don't have like FinOps tools, or cloud cost management tools, you probably rely on spreadsheets and mostly fill them manually. So with meshStack, we aim at automating this and making it much easier for you to report and to analyze. We can have a look at the usage reports here. These are all the usage reports, like all the history, all projects, all workspaces, everything. And now let's get to the payment methods. We've seen these payment methods before. They are important that each project has a payment method. And here you can see, for example, our EA workshop payment method that we used for our Enterprise Architect workshop last month. It has expired because we did this workshop last month, and this has expired now, the payment method. We used close to 100 euros out of 300 euros. That was the set budget for this. And we can have a look at this big budget that we used for our project that we created. You can see here it's still active, never expires, and is exceeded by 3,800%. So you can really get into this here in the payment methods screen. Let's have a look at the developers side again, because this closely relates. Because what does it help if you have all this information as a central cloud team, and the developers, like in their projects, don't have it? They can't really be held accountable for something they don't know. So if we go back to the workspace, the Liquid mobile app, remember we're a developer now, application team. They can also go on the financials tab here and have the chargeback statements, the payment methods, and also per project. They have this transparency, and only through this transparency you can actually make them own their project, basically, because they need to know in order to be responsible for something. So here they have all the information. It tells them what they pay for, how much they pay for it, and so on. All right, this was the tour through our cost management capabilities to the most important aspect. So it's total transparency for the cloud team, cloud foundation team that basically runs the whole cloud in the organization, and the per project, per workspace transparency for the application teams, so they can actually own their projects and their workspaces, their apps, their whole development process with this knowledge and this transparency. If you have any questions, we'll have a look at the chat. Is there anything anybody wants to know? No, I can't see any questions. All right, then I would say thank you for watching this demo. And if you want to go deeper into what meshStack has to offer to you specifically, if you want to know how to do this tagging, like what this means in your organization specifically, or what we talked about here, the cost management, you can book a personal demo on meshcloud.io, and yeah, we'll be happy to give you this personal walkthrough through meshStack. Also, I've showed you the Enterprise Architect Workshop project workspace. Feel free to check out the free workshops that we offer. You can find the link to all the events and workshops in the description of this video. And yeah, we did the EA workshop. We have a landing zone workshops, landing zone 101, that really helps you get started on building your first landing zone. It's very important to have a landing zone ready to start providing the cloud in your organization. Or the landing zone 102 workshop that goes a little bit deeper on the issue. And what I really want to personally recommend to you is the Cloud Foundation community that you can join. It's a community of enterprise architects, platform engineers, other cloud professionals. Join it on Slack. The link should be or is in the description under this video. And I'd be happy to see you there on Slack, or in one of our workshops, or in one of our demos. So I hope you enjoyed this demo, and see you. Bye-bye.